kind of pain makes a woman sleep 3 nights on a cold bench in the wrong town and still refuse to give up? Charlotte Zimmerman didn't know the answer herself. She only knew that her heart felt like it was cracking open each time she woke alone on that wooden bench inside Riverdale Station. The autumn wind pushed through every gap in the walls, carrying the smell of winter close behind it. She pulled her thin shawl around her shoulders, trying to stop the shaking in her hands. This was her 3rd night here. Her 3rd morning waking up stiff, hungry, and more scared than she wanted to admit. She had traveled more than 1,000 miles from Philadelphia. She had risked everything she had left, and for 3 long days, no one had come for her. Charlotte rubbed her tired eyes when she heard distant hoofbeats. For a moment, she froze. Hope had tricked her too many times these past days. Men had approached her, some kind, some not, none the man she was waiting for. She sat up straighter, smoothing her wrinkled dress as the sound grew closer. A voice, deep and steady, filled the quiet station. "Miss, you all right there?" Charlotte looked up fast. A cowboy stood in the doorway, outlined by the rising sun. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with trail dust on his coat and concern written plainly across his sun-browned face. His sandy brown hair curled slightly at the ends where it peeked out from under his hat. His blue eyes were sharp but gentle as they studied her. "I'm waiting for someone," Charlotte said quickly. Her throat ached from dryness and her voice cracked. "My intended. Mr. Nathan Gray of Willox." The cowboy's face changed at once. "Nathan Gray? From the Double G Ranch?" Charlotte nodded, clutching her carpetbag close. He let out a slow breath and removed his hat. "Miss, I'm afraid you're at the wrong depot. Willox is 20 miles west of here." Charlotte felt the world tilt. The wrong depot. 3 days wasted, 3 nights afraid, 3 nights hungry. She pressed a trembling hand to her mouth as tears filled her eyes despite her best efforts. "But I followed the instructions," she whispered. "I believe you," he said softly. "Name's Noah Garrison, Nate Gray's neighbor. He's been in a bad state these last days, thinking you changed your mind. He rode to Denver yesterday looking for you." Charlotte's breath left her in a soft, broken sound. 3 days? "I've been here for 3 days." Noah knelt so he could meet her eyes. He didn't touch her. He didn't crowd her. He simply offered steady calm in the middle of everything falling apart. "Miss Zimmerman," he said, "I'm heading back to Willox now. It would be my honor to escort you to your intended." Charlotte hesitated, only a heartbeat. She had no money left, no food, no strength. But Noah's voice carried something she hadn't heard in days. Safety. "Yes," she whispered. "Thank you." Noah helped her gather her small trunk and bag, lifting them as if they weighed nothing. As they stepped outside, she swayed a little from hunger. Noah caught the movement and frowned. "When's the last time you ate?" Charlotte lowered her eyes. "Yesterday morning. I was saving what I had." Noah's jaw tightened. "Then we're stopping for breakfast before anything else." He didn't ask. He simply led her to a small eatery near the depot and ordered eggs, biscuits, and coffee. Charlotte ate slowly, aware of how empty her stomach felt. Noah watched her with quiet patience, his hat resting on the table beside him. She studied him carefully. He looked younger than at first glance, maybe 28 or 29. His clothes were worn but clean. His hands were rough from ranch work. And unlike some men she had met on her travels, his manner was respectful. He spoke clearly, like a man who thought before he talked. "How do you know Mr. Gray?" she asked finally. "Our ranches touch at the boundary," he replied. "Been neighbors 5 years. He's a good man, quiet, fair. Lost his wife 4 years back." Charlotte swallowed hard. She had known he was a widower. Hearing it spoken aloud made her stomach twist. "You're wondering if you made a mistake," Noah said gently. Charlotte stiffened. "I've made my choice. I came west for a reason." "Not judging you, ma'am," he answered with a small smile. "Takes courage to do what you've done. Nate will appreciate that." After breakfast, Noah walked her to his wagon. It was full of tools and supplies, but he made room for her trunk beside him on the front seat. "I am sorry it's not a proper carriage," he said. "I'm grateful for the ride," Charlotte replied. As they left Riverdale behind, Charlotte stared at the endless sweep of golden prairie grass. Nothing in Philadelphia looked like this. The air smelled of dust and sage. The sky stretched so far it felt unreal. "It's beautiful," she murmured. "Most Easterners think it's empty," Noah said. "It feels honest," she replied. "Like the land doesn't pretend to be something it's not." He studied her with quiet interest. "Why did you become a mail-order bride?" he asked carefully. Charlotte looked down at her gloved hands. "My father died last winter, left debts I couldn't pay. I couldn't keep the boarding room, couldn't find steady work. I had no family left. There were few choices." Noah nodded, accepting her answer without judgment. By midday, they stopped by a small creek to water the horses. Charlotte stepped out carefully, her legs shaky from the long ride. Noah offered his canteen and a piece of jerky. "How much longer to Willox?" she asked. "We'll reach it by sundown," he said. "Small place, but good people." Charlotte nodded slowly. She tried to picture her future with Mr. Gray, a man she had only known through careful letters, a man who had lost so much already, a man she was meant to marry in just a few days. "This is a new start," she whispered to herself, but her gaze kept drifting to Noah. Something about his quiet strength made her feel safe in a way she had not felt since she left home. She pushed the thought away. She was engaged. She had made her choice. As the sun dipped low and the small town of Willox appeared in the distance, Charlotte's heart hammered in her chest. This was the beginning. She just didn't yet know how it would end. What if the man waiting to marry you is kind and steady, but the man who found you when you were lost is the one your heart keeps drifting toward? Charlotte felt that question pulling at her from the moment Noah helped her down from the wagon in Willox. The small town buzzed quietly with the sounds of evening. Oil lamps glowed in windows. Horses snorted softly from hitching posts. People paused in their business to look her way, their curiosity warm rather than sharp. Noah tipped his hat toward a whitewashed building. "This is Willox Hotel and Dining. Mrs. Potter runs it. She'll see you set for the night." Before Charlotte could respond, the front door swung open and a stout woman in an apron hurried out. "Noah Garrison, is this her, the bride everyone's been whispering about?" "Yes, ma'am," Noah said with a small smile. "Miss Charlotte Zimmerman." Mrs. Potter swept forward like a gust of warm wind and took Charlotte's hands. "Mercy, child, we've been worried sick. Come in, come in. You must be freezing." Charlotte let herself be led inside, but she glanced back at Noah. He was lifting her trunk as easily as a sack of flour, his sleeves rolled up, the fading light softening the sharp angles of his face. "Will you?" she began, unsure of her own question. "I'll bring your things in," Noah said. "Then I'll find out if Nate made it back from Denver." Charlotte nodded, though her heart thudded strangely in her chest. Inside, the hotel was small but welcoming. A tidy sitting room, a warm stove, a comforting smell of stew drifting from the kitchen. Mrs. Potter pressed a cup of tea into her hands, fussed over her like a long-lost aunt, then ushered her to a quiet room upstairs. Not long after, a knock sounded. "Miss Zimmerman." "It's Noah." Charlotte opened the door. Noah stood in the hallway, hat in hand. In the lamplight, she noticed a faint scar above his brow. He looked tired but kind. "Any word of Mr. Gray?" she asked. "A telegram came from Denver," he said. "He'll be back tomorrow." Charlotte exhaled shakily. One more day. One more night to wonder who Nathan Gray really was. "Thank you for everything today," she said softly. "I don't know what would have happened if you hadn't found me." "Just doing what's right," Noah answered, but something unspoken hung in the space between them, warm and uneasy. "Good night, Miss Zimmerman," he added gently. "Good night, Noah." He blinked as if surprised to hear his name spoken softly from her lips. Then he nodded once, placed his hat back on his head, and was gone. Charlotte closed the door slowly, pressing her back to it. She told herself the flutter in her stomach was only nerves. only exhaustion. Only everything but what it truly felt like. The next morning came with rushing footsteps, hot water, and breakfast on a tray. Mrs. Potter barely let her breathe before declaring a dressmaker was coming. A bride must look her best when her groom arrives. Charlotte wanted to protest. She had no money left. But Mrs. Potter shook her head. Mr. Gray left instructions. Anything the bride needs goes on his account. The kindness steadied Charlotte. Even before meeting him in person, Nathan Gray showed thoughtfulness. Later she walked through town. The general store, the church, the schoolhouse. Everything small, tidy, full of simple life. People greeted her with nods and smiles. She felt seen here, not ignored, like in Philadelphia. She stood inside the quiet church when a gentle voice interrupted her thoughts. "You're Miss Zimmerman." Charlotte turned to see Pastor Wilson. "Yes," she replied. "I just needed a moment." "Understandable," he said warmly. "New beginnings can stir up old fears." "Does Mr. Gray attend here?" she asked. "Every Sunday." The pastor nodded thoughtfully. "He's endured much loss, but he remains steady. He'll give you a good life." Charlotte hoped those words were true. By afternoon, her blue day dress was ready. Mrs. Potter dressed her like a daughter and sent her downstairs to wait in the sitting room. Her heart thudded when a wagon arrived outside. Steps sounded on the porch. And then the door opened. Nathan Gray stood there. He was not the tall, imposing widower she had imagined. He was of medium height, sturdy in build. His dark hair was streaked lightly by the sun. His brown eyes were gentle but weary, as if he had lived many lives in one. "Miss Zimmerman," he said, his voice deeper than she expected, "I'm relieved to find you safe." "Mr. Gray," Charlotte replied, rising. "I apologize for the confusion with my arrival." "No fault of yours," he said. "I should have explained the rail lines more clearly." They sat for tea. His manner was careful, thoughtful. He asked about her journey, nodded through her answers, spoke with quiet sincerity. Charlotte relaxed slightly. He was a decent man. A steady man. A man who would not raise his voice nor break promises. But she felt no spark. That truth troubled her. Halfway through the conversation, Nathan's face softened more than expected. "Miss Zimmerman, Charlotte, marriage must be entered willingly. If you have second thoughts, I won't hold you to our arrangement." Charlotte's breath caught. "Are you releasing me?" "No," he said quickly. "Only giving you choice." His kindness warmed her, though her confusion deepened. "I wish to continue," she said quietly. "If you still do." "I would be honored," Nathan replied. They agreed on a wedding in 2 weeks. By the time Nathan left, Charlotte felt a calm settle in her. She could build a life with this man. She could make a home with him. But later that evening, standing by her window, Charlotte spotted Noah across the street. He stood outside the general store, watching her with an expression she could not name. Something tight and quiet. Something that disappeared the moment Nathan turned toward him. Noah lifted a hand in a small greeting before disappearing into the shadows. Charlotte pressed her hand to her chest, feeling her heart beat too fast. This was not supposed to happen. Over the next days, Nathan called on her each morning. He introduced her to townspeople and spoke with patient steadiness about the ranch and the future. Charlotte tried to match his calm, to quiet the restless tug in her heart. Yet whenever she saw Noah in town, even from afar, her pulse stumbled. Saturday evening brought the church social. Nathan escorted her with formal care. Inside, lanterns glowed, music played, neighbors laughed and greeted her kindly. Nathan danced with her, awkward but earnest, and Charlotte found herself smiling despite her nerves. But then the door opened. Noah walked in. Dusty, tired. Handsome in a way he seemed unaware of. He looked across the room and found her instantly. For a heartbeat, everything inside her stilled. "Everything all right?" Nathan asked softly. Charlotte forced herself to nod. Later, as Nathan stepped away to speak with a ranch hand, Noah approached her with polite distance. "You look lovely tonight," he said. "Thank you," Charlotte murmured. "Are you happy with your decision?" he asked quietly. She swallowed. "Yes, Nathan is a good man." "Good," he said, though something in his voice ached. "That's good." Nathan returned, and Noah stepped back, polite as always. But Charlotte felt the truth settle inside her like an unwelcome guest. Two good men had entered her life at the same time. One she was promised to, one she had never expected. And the story was only becoming more tangled. What if the life you choose grows gentle and warm around you, but a part of your heart still remembers the man who found you when you were lost? Charlotte felt that quiet pull many times in the days that followed the church social, but she pushed it away, step by step, choice by choice. She focused on Nathan. She focused on the life she had agreed to build. When he brought her flowers, she smiled. When he spoke softly about the ranch, she listened. When he looked at her with hopeful eyes, she let herself feel grateful. And slowly, the feeling grew real. Nathan was steady, safe, caring in small, thoughtful ways. He paid attention to what she liked. He asked for her opinion. He treated her gently, never rushing her. But the night Noah appeared at Mrs. Potter's door changed everything inside her for a moment. Mrs. Potter said, "Mr. Garrison to see you, says it's important." Charlotte's heart jumped before she could stop it. She smoothed her dress and tried to steady her breath before walking downstairs. Noah stood by the sitting room window, hat in hand, snow melting on his coat shoulders. He looked troubled, more than she had ever seen him. "Miss Zimmerman," he said. "Thank you for speaking with me. I wouldn't have come unless it mattered." "Is something wrong?" Charlotte asked. "No," he said softly. "Not wrong. Just something you should know before the wedding." Charlotte's stomach tightened. "About Nathan?" "No," Noah said quickly. "Nathan is as good as they come." "Then what is it?" Quote. He swallowed hard, then looked her directly in the eyes. "Mary Gray, Nathan's first wife, was my sister." Charlotte blinked. "Your sister?" Quote. "Yes." Shock swept through her. It changed everything and explained so much. "Why didn't Nathan tell me?" she whispered. "It's painful for him," Noah said quietly. "After Mary and their little boy died, we grieved differently. I wanted to talk about them. He wanted silence. We drifted apart for a while." Charlotte understood instantly. Nathan wasn't hiding family out of shame. He was hiding heartbreak. "So why tell me now?" she asked. "Because," Noah said, voice low and unsteady, "secrets always come out. And I don't want you to wonder later why I kept my distance, or why I must continue to do so." Charlotte's breath caught. "Noah!" He stepped back, pain flickering in his eyes. "When I found you at that depot," he said softly, "I felt something I had no right to feel." The room fell silent. Charlotte's heart pounded painfully. She wanted to deny it, pretend she didn't know what he meant. But she did. She had felt it too. In the wagon. At the church. In every moment, their eyes met. "But it doesn't matter," Noah said, forcing calm into his voice. "You're marrying Nathan, and he deserves happiness. You both do." Charlotte's throat closed. "If circumstances were different," she whispered. "They aren't," he cut in gently, "and wishing won't change that." He placed his hat on his head. "I'll see you at the wedding," he said, "as Nate's family, nothing more." He left before Charlotte could speak. She stood frozen long after the door closed. A quiet ache filled her chest. But she knew her choice. She would honor Nathan. She would build the home she came west to build. She would put the other feeling away. The wedding day came with cold air and pale sunlight. Nathan arrived in a borrowed carriage, dressed neatly, nervous but smiling. When he saw Charlotte in her cream-colored dress, his expression softened into something warm and honest. "You look beautiful," he said simply. The church was full. Lanterns glowed. Neighbors filled the pews. Pastor Wilson waited with his prayer book open. Charlotte walked down the aisle beside Nathan, feeling her heart steady with each step. She glanced toward the back pew. Noah sat alone. He didn't smile. He didn't frown. He only watched with a quiet understanding that broke her a little and healed her too. The vows were simple. Nathan's hands trembled slightly when he held hers. When Pastor Wilson pronounced them husband and wife, Nathan kissed her gently. A promise. A beginning. A life. The celebration afterward filled the small town with laughter and music. People congratulated them, hugged them, welcomed her fully into the community. When she danced with Nathan, she felt the future opening softly in front of her. And when she caught Noah watching from the edge of the crowd, he gave her the smallest nod, a letting go, a blessing, a goodbye, to something that never truly began. That night, Nathan carried her over the threshold of the Double G Ranch. Lanterns glowed warm. Mrs. Watkins had prepared a welcoming supper. And in their quiet, gentle first night together, Charlotte felt a new sweetness settling into her life. A few months later, Charlotte realized she was expecting. When she told Nathan, he stared at her with tears in his eyes. "A child," he whispered, "our child." Joy filled their home like sunlight. The pregnancy brought the whole town close around her, especially Mrs. Watkins and Mrs. Potter. Nathan grew more protective, more tender each day. Charlotte rarely saw Noah, except at Sunday gatherings. He stayed polite, distant, respectful. But when their eyes occasionally met, there was no pain anymore, only peace, only acceptance. As summer ended, Charlotte gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Nathan wept openly when he held her. Charlotte named her Margaret Mary Gray, after her mother and after Nathan's first wife. When Noah visited a week later, he brought a small pony for the baby's future, then held Margaret in careful, loving arms. "You've built a good life," he told Charlotte, "a real one." "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything." Nathan joined them on the porch, and Noah quietly handed Margaret back. "That's what family does," Noah said softly. This time, Nathan didn't argue. He nodded. "Yes," he said, "it is." 1 year later, Charlotte stood on the porch again, Margaret toddling at her feet and another child growing in her belly. Nathan worked in the yard, teaching new ranchers cattle skills. Noah stood nearby, brushing the pony he had gifted. Their lives were woven together, not with longing now, but with family, with loyalty, with peace. Charlotte placed Nathan's hand on her stomach, smiling. "Another beginning," she whispered, Nathan's eyes filled with joy. "Another blessing." Across the yard, Noah looked up. Their eyes met for a moment, just a moment, and Charlotte smiled at him. A smile of friendship, of gratitude, of understanding. The wrong depot had brought her to the right life, the right home, the right future, and Charlotte knew she was exactly where she was meant to be.